Good morning.
Hello. Good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning. Or
We
for our
already,
friends, actually, for I shouldn't even say for our friends on the East Coast. For all of our New York friends, good afternoon, because it is
yes,
afternoon for all them.
yes. See, we've had a bunch of people joined already. Hi,
Yes.
Samantha, and hi, Annette and Pumala. Thank you so much for joining us. Pumala is our colleague. Um, and we have Lori. Welcome, Lori. And we have Georgia. Hi, Georgia, and welcome Cook and Erica and Megan. And as I'm talking, there's more people jumping in.
Yes, there are. Here they
We
go.
love seeing you. Hey, Carrie. Hello, Michelle. So nice of you guys to join us. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Afternoon. I'll get to the afternoon and morning part in a second, in a few seconds.
Yeah.
There we go. It's so nice to see everybody. It looks like we got a few more people that we're just waiting on. I don't remember, Nella. Will this be recorded?
Yes, it will absolutely be recorded. So if you need to jump out early or you get busy with people, it's completely okay. You'll receive the recording in your inbox afterwards. Ta-dun, ta-dun. And if you want to share the recording, please do so. We like that.
We do.
Yes.
And of course, I see, at least for me, there's a little REC in the upper left hand that I just noticed. So I didn't even have to ask you, but yes, it's being recorded.
Yes, it is being recorded. And I just want to welcome Paulu as well. He is on my screen, he's here. Paulu is one of our team members, and he will chat to you towards the end of the webinar. So,
yeah. We would love for everybody to share in the chat what they are currently drinking. And this is a judgment-free zone, so whatever it is whatever it is. I will definitely start off, and I'll just jump in there what it is. In my good friend water bottle right here. It's not water. Sugar-free iced tea with lemon. Ooh, what grape soda!
That's good.
Iced tea. It is warm here in New York. I bet it is. Let's see what else we got. Water. Good old H2O.
Grape soda. I love that.
So far, that's the winner.
Yes. For whoever is drinking water, I'm with you. This is water, I promise.
Very nice.
Yes.
I think if we're ready, do you think we want to get started?
Yes, we can get started.
Awesome.
People will jump in when they can.
Beautiful. Before we kind of jump into everything, you guys, it's first of all, I was actually in New York State a couple of weeks ago. My wife and I were on vacation. We had a long vacation in New England, and we started in New York City, took the train up to Albany, and did a little bit of exploring in Albany. So it's nice to see all these New York people and a bunch of these towns that I've heard of before, and I've been to upstate and central New York too. So it's nice to see you guys. But the reason that I mention that is because I also brought back with me a little bit of a nasty cold. So I have to qualify everything by saying I'm still getting over it. I'm definitely on the upswing, but any squeaks or honks or sneezes or sniffles or anything like that. New England is awesome, but it gave me a cold, so I might have to clear my throat a couple times. But I apologize for that ahead of time. It's the beauty and the joy of traveling. So, but I'm glad you're all here. We're glad you're all here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So let me just share. Let's see, share my screen, and I want to share that, and then I want to play this, and I think we're good. Does everything look good? Can you guys see my presentation? Just a thumbs up in the chat or a yes or something like that. All right, perfect. I have some yeses. Away we go. So first of all, welcome. My name is Chris Estrella. I'm the government content insider for TownWeb, and we're here today to talk about .gov compliance for municipalities in New York. This is a really important thing. This has been a really important thing, and as you'll learn as we go along, and you may already know, this is going to be law. So it's something that we're going to talk about as we go along. So, but I think we're going to have some time at the end for questions. So if you have any, just make a note. Absolutely, let us know. Not a problem at all. Couple folks I want to introduce to you is our first. We have our clerk Betty. She's not a real person. You might be able to tell. There was a little AI help with this picture, but Betty has been working in her municipality for a very long time. She is a little bit old school, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but she's just a little bit old school. She loves fax machines. She loves her Post-it notes. She loves working where she works. She didn't consider herself a website expert, and so she roped in a trustee to help kind of get things set up with the website and get things moving along, because it really wasn't her forte, which is totally great. Some of you may be a Betty. Some of you may be partly a Betty. Some of you may work with a Betty. That's totally awesome. I worked with a Betty. My last municipality was in Wisconsin, was in the town of Oakland in Jefferson County, and my deputy was a Betty, and she was awesome, and I loved working with her every day. They're fantastic. But Betty works with Bella. Bella has an undergrad right now. She has an undergrad class in development. She's super, super smart on what is spam and like email and like fake websites and phishing scams and vishing and all. Like she's just on it. Really, because she kind of grew up with this. She can very easily pick out what isn't correct because she just knows. She grew up with it. Whereas for folks even like my age and older, we didn't necessarily grow up with the internet. So for her, it's second nature. But also for her, if she can't find it online, if she can't do it online, it doesn't exist. And so it's really important, I think, if you have a Bella, to have a Betty working with you. And maybe you are a Bella, maybe you are an older Bella, maybe you're a younger Bella, but it's really great to have that team together. And I think that for me, that's what worked really well in Oakland. I was a little bit more of a Bella. I worked with a Betty. We kind of bounced our strengths off of each other. And, my deputy Susan and I it's such an awesome working environment. We were great for each other, but it's not to overgeneralize everybody, but these are kind of the two camps that we see when we're talking with people, with either potential customers, with current customers, kind of the camps that they live in. So, but what's great about both of them is even though they have different expertise, different strengths, different weaknesses, they both want to come together and serve their community in the best way possible. And I just think that's as clerks, that's what we do. That's how we roll, and it's great to see that. So a little bit more. One final person that I want to introduce is kind of officially is me. To prove that I was in New York last week, I'm a huge Yankees fan, so let's go Yankees. My wife and I went to 2 Yankee games in 12 days, one at Citi Field and one at the stadium, and it was awesome. But I was a municipal clerk treasurer in Wisconsin for almost 17 years. Currently, in addition to my role here, I'm a professor of public administration at Rochester University, which is just north of Detroit, Michigan, not the one in New York. And then also my alma mater, the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. I'm a past president of the Wisconsin Municipal Clerks Association. I love the Packers because I grew up in Wisconsin, but I love the Yankees and I love In-N-Out Burger out here in Vegas. And I'm still going to be a cheesehead at heart, but going to New York and New England really filled up my East Coast tank for a while, and we had a great time. So it's great to meet all of you. I hope to see you at some point in the future, here, there, anywhere, anything like that. Let's jump into everything in terms of .gov. This is actually a subject that I'm pretty knowledgeable about. I teach a completely separate class on this. And so why we're here is on February 28th of this year, Governor Hochul signed into law Chapter 97 of the laws of 2025. And that basically means New York municipalities are required, with some limited exceptions, to maintain and regularly update an official web page. I'm hoping that most of you know that. If you don't, now you do. And we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into that and what those implications are. But this happened this year. So what's required as a result of that? Number one, just kind of a definition: municipal websites equals available online. In the legal language, it talks about available online. To translate this into English that we'll understand, we're talking about municipal websites. But really, I read the law, I read what she signed, and it actually goes into some pretty good detail about what the requirements are. You have to have basic information about your municipality. These are things like office hours, location, address. I mean, that is location, but address, obviously, on the website. If you have some social media, include those on there as well. But really, how to contact you guys. So contact information, elected and appointed officials, basic information people should be able to figure, glean from your website. Financial documents. This is basically your budget. It could be other financial documents. Now, I could speak to Wisconsin because I was a clerk in Wisconsin. I don't know what other financial documents you would have in New York, but this is basically your budget. If you don't have a privacy policy, you need to create one because that is also required. Public notices. These are things like election notices, public hearing and agendas, minutes, anything that's required by New York's open meetings law. And we had one in Wisconsin. I don't want to talk about that, but we had one in Wisconsin that was very generous with what needed to be, what was an open record. So I'm imagining New York is probably similar. So definitely check that out. And then the other big one is any legal and regulatory documents, and put into English, this is your ordinances. If you have a link to your ordinances and they're hosted by somebody else, that's fine. They don't have to be individually on your website. Or if they're individually on your website, that's also fine. But a link to your legal and regulatory documents, also known as your ordinances. So a little bit about the legislation. And the number 1,500 is the dividing point. Quick drink of iced tea. If your population is 1,500 and over, you have to fully comply. You don't have a choice. Now, I don't know what the penalties are if you don't. You're probably going to get some sort of a not so nice email from whomever is going to be administering this at the state, but you don't have a choice as to whether or not you can comply. You have to do it. In the law, though, one of the exceptions that's carved out, and I say exception, I'll just say exception, is that if your population is under 1,500, so 1,499 or less, you must comply to the extent practicable. Practicable. I'm not entirely sure how to say that word, but I think you guys get the gist. So some more things that I want to talk about, just kind of in regards to the legislation. How do you comply with it? If you don't have your own .gov, but you share a website with another municipality that does, that's good. That means you're compliant. There's nothing that you have to do. I've seen that in other states. I haven't seen that in New York, but I have seen that in other states where you might have a village or a town or a city that will have share a name. So let's just say there's a town of Blooming Grove, New York, and there's a city of Blooming Grove, New York, and they share a website, and one of those is a .gov, you're fine. If you share it and it's not a .gov, you'll have to change that. Additionally, if you don't own the .gov because it's under the county's website, but the county's website is a .gov, that is also compliant. I have also seen that as well. That is definitely something that I've seen a little bit more of, but there you go. So it's something that you have to keep in mind as we go along is how that .gov is going to be applied and where it's applied. If you can share a website and get some cost savings going on, great. If not, that's something that you'll have to adjust with and budget for in the future. So let's keep going. So how long do we have? You guys have until December 21st, 2025. And the reason that the number is that way because it was 1 year to the day that Governor Hochul signed the legislation. So that's how long everybody has. That's why it's not to the end of the year, but it's December 21st, 2025, which that's 5 months from yesterday, right? August, September, October, November. Yes, that's 5 months from yesterday. So I will tell you as we go along, this is a process that takes some time. So it might be a good idea to start soon, very soon. But let's talk about some domains. And first of all, what is the domain? If you've ever typed in a website into anything, it's the .com, the .com, and then the semi-level domain, the second level domain right here. This is how it is. I mean, it's an address. It's just like an address on your house. It's how do we get there? And so this specific part, the .com, is the part that we want to make sure that you guys have changed to a .gov. So how we do that, and I'll get into that in just a second, but I want to talk about just kind of what some of the other types of domains are. .org and .com can be obtained by anybody, and a lot of .orgs I've seen used for nonprofits. I have seen them used for government organizations as well, but really anybody can get those. There's not a ton of security involved in them. If you're on a .us, I would definitely not do that. Those are not really official government websites. There's a lot of spam that's generated from them. So if you are, that's another good reason to get off of that. .edu, this is obvious. This is for educational institutions. My email addresses at UW Oshkosh and at Rochester both end in .edu. .gov domains, strictly for government, and not just local government, but all levels of government. So there really are two levels. There's the federal level, and a more practical example of this would be something like whitehouse.gov or dot.gov. That's the federal level. The state level is where you guys have to put in NY or a county or something like that. And I'm going to talk about those a little bit more as we move along. But from here, I want to talk about, like, is it better and why? And number one, yes. The short answer is yes. A .gov domain comes with a bunch more security than either a .us or a .com or a .org or anything like that. And the reason for that is because they're so heavily regulated by the federal government, by the .gov registrar. They come with, if you can, I don't know if you can see when you're logged in, but my address for this website that I'm currently on, it starts with HTTPS, and the S stands for secure, or there might be a little padlock on there. That's an extra layer of security every .gov website has automatically built into it. .coms and .orgs and .uses do not have that. And what's important about that is that it really reduces the amount of spam that will come out, whether that's email spam, whether it's website spam, anything like that, any type of bad things that can happen, any type of hacks or leaks or anything like that. That extra security really matters. And so it's really important, not only for security wise, but if it makes it harder for others to replicate and emulate your website out to the world and do really bad things. And kind of with that, with the public information that you're hosting, it has to be safe because people are going to access this from all over. They might be on vacation, they might be from their home, they might be at work. And so you don't want to spread anything from your website and the files that you upload onto theirs or into their email. So it's really important to make sure you go with the .gov. Go on to the next one here. So, but a little bit more, and this kind of goes to perception as well. Not just even the security type of stuff that I just mentioned, but a .gov domain identifies you clearly as local government, as the source of information. And there's so much media out there. I think we all would agree. There's so much media, good, bad, indifferent. It doesn't matter. It can be really hard in times of a disaster or in times of, I think election season is a really great time where official information needs to come out. And by identifying yourself with a .gov and saying, this is the official source of information, number one, that's going to build trust. I think, and I talk about this a little bit in my classes, my public administration classes. One of the foundations of local government really is trust. People want to know who you guys are. They want to know, they want to put faces to names. They want to get to know you guys. They want to trust you guys because you're administering their day-to-day kind of local government stuff. I did it, you do it, we all know what that's like. And so the more that you can kind of build that trust, the better it will pay off for everybody. But really, and again, it doesn't matter how small or large you are, but there's so much media out there. There's so much kind of noise. And how do we cut through that noise? We identify ourselves as the official website, as the official email, as the official everything of our town, of our city, of our village, and this is where you go. It's unfortunate that I have to say this. Not everybody is going to want to believe that, but you have to project that out there. You have to be like, this is us. Ignore the noise. This is where you get the official information from. It's something that I could talk about for hours, and I could share stories, and I know all of you could too. So I won't dive so much deeper into that, but it's just really important to build that trust and really cut through all the kind of extra media out there and be the official, have that official spokesperson and website and everything. But again, I got a little bit ahead of myself. The other thing, in addition to building that trust, is it will show everybody, okay, we're transparent, we're professional, we're not doing this, kind of as a fly by night, but also we're following the law. Like, it's the law, you have to do it. So like when your residents ask you, like, why are you doing this? Well, number one, we want to be transparent. Number two, we want you to trust us. And number three, we have to. So it's really important to just kind of convey those things. But also, I think it's really important to note this. It's going to refocus the focus on your residents, but also your visitors and any tourists that you guys have. It's just important, I did this when my wife and I were looking for things to do in New York and where to go and places to visit. Like, we looked for those official websites because that's what we went to look for. So, I had a couple of referrals from folks that I know in the state, but when we're looking for like restaurants and things and like chambers of commerce, I'm looking for things like that. I'm doing that, and everybody else is too. So it's really important just to note that and keep that top of mind as you're going along. So why do we want to do this? Number one, and I think most important, it's free. And I can't say this enough. It is free. It has been free since 2020. The federal government implemented this change in 2020. I have no idea how much longer it's going to stay free for. So that's why I would start like tomorrow. If you haven't already done it, I would start tomorrow and just make sure that you at least get that process going. Again, it is a little timely, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, but it costs you nothing. If you guys are customers of ours, we don't charge you for anything for that either. We'll do that completely free. However, if you're not customers of ours, that's something that you could check with your website host and just ask them about it. I don't know what other website companies do. I just know that we don't charge for it, and the federal government doesn't charge for it. So people say it's really hard to get things for free today. This is completely free. But again, I don't know how much longer that's going to be for. So you might want to start right away. So how does it work? Quick shot of iced tea before we delve in. It's really good iced tea. The first place to go to the website, get.gov. And I know that looks a little weird, but yes, you start the process there. You will also need to verify your identity on login.gov. And the reason for that is that provides an extra layer of security. Number one, the federal government needs you to prove that you're you. And so you'll have to share your own person. And I double checked because I wanted to make sure your own state ID, your social security number, and your phone number. They have to verify you're an actual person. But to go through this process, then you start on get.gov, and it's a process. Like it's a good process, but it's a process. And so what you have to do, you have to request a domain that meets the requirements. Number one, it has to be available. You can't pick on somebody else's domain that they already have. It has to relate to your organization's name, location, or services. So I used to work in the town of Blooming Grove in Wisconsin. I also know there is a town of Blooming Grove in New York because we used to get phone calls for them all the time. So it might be something like, and these are some examples at the bottom, but it might be something like bloomingGroveTown.ny.gov or Blooming Grove Town ny.gov or town of Blooming Grove ny.gov. It's got to be related to you guys, and the public has to be able to understand it. So again, you might have to include, the state name or maybe TN for town. I've seen in Wisconsin, some of my former municipalities there, they have put the county in there. So maybe that's something that you can do. But a couple of examples that I found from New York, ny.gov is the state, nyc.gov is the city. So just ways that you can do it, however you can make it work. It's really important to find something that will work for you, but is also clear to the public and shows what exactly you guys are about. Excuse me. So as a part of the process, what you'll need to do is you'll need to get a letter from your chief elected official, your mayor, your town board chair, your village board president. This used to be a paper process where you had to mail it in and had a wet signature and all that stuff. Literally just this year, the beginning of this year, that changed. It's all electronic now. So when you start the process on get.gov, that's one of the first things that you'll need. You don't need to do anything official at your meeting. You don't need to submit minutes or anything like that. It is just a letter from your chief elected official identifying the municipality as who they are, that person is the chief elected official, and then you can send that in electronically. You'll have to have the mailing address, the authorizing official, all this. You'll have to have all that stuff. And then your technical contact is also very important. This would be your website host. So again, if any of you are town web customers, you would identify us. If you're not town web customers, whomever is hosting your website, if it's the state, if it's the county, if it's another private entity, whomever is doing that, they will be identified as your technical contact, and you'll be all set to go. Let me just keep going here. And then, unfortunately, you have to wait. This is not a quick process, and I mean this facetiously, but almost not. We all know that the wheels of government turn very slowly at times. This is no exception. I have heard stories from people across the country where this can take somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 months, maybe even longer. So I put wait on here because you really do have to wait. You're going to do everything. You're going to get everything right. If you're going to submit it all, it's going to be awesome. But you really do have to wait. Once approved, the technical contact will be notified, and then they should be able to take over the entire process from there. You've done all the hard work. So there's a lot of legwork up front from you guys, but then once the federal government approves it, it should be handed off to your technical contact, and you'll be all set to go. I wish I could make it faster. Unfortunately, I can't. A little bit about passwords and security, very related to this. Strong passwords are super important. I think we all know that. The best thing to do is to have longer passwords and a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters and numbers and special characters. But one thing I want to caution you about is not making it so difficult that you yourself cannot remember it. There is a thing called password fatigue. And that is from having to change your password so many times, maybe every 30, every 60, every 90 days. And so if you're doing that, if you're hooked onto, emails or statewide systems or anything like that, where you have to change your password continually, obviously document them somewhere, whether it's an Excel file, a piece of paper, an electronic, storage thing, anything like that. But make sure that you don't make them so difficult that you just really can't remember them or you can't keep them straight. It's really important to note that. Multi-factor authentication is another way that you can also secure all of your accounts in addition to going .gov. These are things like, and I'm going to grab my phone really quick. I don't know if you guys can see me or not, but these are things like biometric scanners on your phone. So on my iPhone, my home button, it uses my thumbprint to open it. Things like a FIDO key, like a USB FIDO key, or if you have an app that you can install on your phone that will, share a number with you, or another email address that you have to log in or that you have to kind of coordinate with. Multi-factor authentication is really important. I would say even now more so than ever. Even 5 years ago, it really wasn't that big of a deal. I actually got my personal email and a bunch of my personal accounts, fortunately nothing financial, got hacked back in December, and I turned on two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication for everything that I possibly could. I'm not going to lie, it is one extra, kind of pain in the butt, but in the end, no butt intended, in the end, I know that if I get an email about it and it wasn't me, I know, okay, it's not me. It's tied to my phone. It's tied to another email. It's tied to a text message, anything like that. So it's really important to turn that stuff on as well. And then finally, regularly update your passwords. Now, I'm going to say, this is just me speaking, I'm going to say 6 months to a year. Anytime inside that window. I believe 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, that's too much. It's too frequent. Once a quarter is too much. But I think once or twice a year is kind of the sweet spot, or really anywhere in between that is really what you should do. And the obvious one is don't make your password the same password for everything. Just as an example, and a little bit about account security. .gov domain emails are also more secure. So if you're using something like Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo or something that's just kind of a free service, there are some potential risks that come with that. And not to say that it's bad. I mean, we have Gmail addresses here, but ours are not the free ones. We pay for a little extra security, and it's kind of an enterprise solution for us. But just to be aware, those free emails. I mean, I've got a Hotmail address for my personal email. I see the amount of spam that I get all the time, but it's just something to know about. All of town websites are secure. They're regularly checked. They're backed up. Our team is awesome about keeping data safe. Any reputable website host should also be doing that. You should be backing things up. You should be archiving. You should have regular password updates. Again, that 6 months to a year time span. All really important stuff. And again, I started as a clerk in 2005. In 2005, I didn't have to think about any of this stuff. In 2010, I didn't have to think about any of this stuff. I think I didn't go through my first cybersecurity training until 2016. And that's when all of this stuff really kind of started coming to the forefront. So we're not even, at least for me, we're not even 10 years in yet. So this is stuff, again, you might hear this, backing things up and passwords, and you might hear this a lot. It's always a good reminder. There are so many examples out there of what can happen when a municipality gets hacked and bad stuff starts to happen. What not to do. A couple things of what not to do. Don't have a weak password. Don't share your passwords or your login information. I was guilty of that once, and it definitely came back to bite me in the rear. Don't open phishing or spam emails or their attachments if you're not expecting it. And I know we, being clerks, we get emails from people that we aren't expecting all the time. Be vigilant about that kind of stuff. Really use a fine-tooth comb. Reply back to them, or even give them a call and be like, I wasn't expecting this from you. Is this something that you wanted to email to me? Have that moment of pause and just make sure that you're not going to get taken advantage of. If it turns out you have phishing or spam or anything like that, report it, block it, delete it, don't open it. That's definitely the thing to do. And then finally, don't ever ignore security updates. I haven't owned a Windows PC for a while. I'm on a MacBook right now. But when those Windows updates came in, when I had a Windows laptop or desktop at work, I remember seeing kind of the regular ones, the not so important ones, and then the critical security updates. When you see all of them, update as quickly as possible. It's really important. They release those for a reason. I get those on my MacBook as well. When they release them for a reason. So make sure that you update right away. In terms of personal devices for work, strongly don't suggest doing that as well. There are public records implications that could be at play. I can tell you from a Wisconsin perspective, if you accessed anything on like a phone or a tablet that was work related and there was a records request, then your personal phone or tablet or computer could also be brought in as kind of, you accessed it from here. So we need to look at that. Not that anybody has anything to hide, but it's like, that's my personal phone. I'm not doing any type of work stuff on there. So don't ever access work stuff from your personal devices. We're coming into the home stretch here. I'm going to take one more quick shot of iced tea. So Betty and Bella, Bella's kind of, really up on technology. Betty is really defaulting to Bella, but they're both really learning about how .gov websites are really the answer to keep their website safe. And it's something that everybody really needs to do their best to implement. Again, for you guys especially, because you have 5 months to do it. But I'm seeing this as I travel across the country and I speak at different conferences and I see, I hear from people and I talk with people on Zoom. It's taken off everywhere. I mean, I'm seeing it in California next door to me. I'm seeing it from my friends back home in Wisconsin. It's just something that it's probably, maybe in 5 years, every state in the country is going to have a requirement just like you guys have in New York. So it's coming, and it's really best to start working on that right now. And really, it's not just for your benefit as well, but for your residents, for your visitors, for the media. If you have any of those type of media that use your website for things, it's best for everybody to switch over to a .gov website. So I hope that this has been informative, that this has been fantastic for you. Before we jump into questions, I'm going to turn it over to Paulo just for a minute. I'm going to advance it one more slide because he's got a little bit of a bonus to share with all of you. So I'm going to go ahead and let me just make sure. Paulo, go ahead and turn your camera on and let me know when you're ready, and I will advance to the next slide.
Thank you, Chris. Yep.
There we go. Perfect.
All right. So for everyone here in the webinar, once you book a demo with us, you can get a head start by getting a 2 months free of Clerk Minutes. So it is an AI stuff that is very valuable for clerks. We also have like a free ADA compliance scan and report on what to improve on your websites, and a step-by-step .gov domain registration support. So everything that Chris has been talk about here in the webinar will be included as well.
Thank you, Paulo. I appreciate that. I will tell you, and again, I kind of went over it. The .gov domain registration process I don't want to say it's hard, because it's not hard, but it's tedious. And so that's just something we've done. I want to say somewhere around 200 websites. It might be a little bit less, it might be a little bit more, but 200 is kind of the number that's sticking out in my head. We've had a lot of experience with this, and we really we want to be there for you guys. Again, there's going to be some of that legwork on the front end that you guys are going to have to do, but it's important just to note that. But on the back end, we'll definitely help you out with everything that we possibly can. So with that in mind, we have come to the end. If you have if you want to reach out, Nellet has put the book a demo link in the chat here. Also, you can reach out to the sales team at sales@townweb, or you can give us a call at the number right there. But I'm going to pause for questions. So if you guys have any questions, we've definitely got about 7 minutes left for questions before we jump off. Feel free to ask, and we will answer them as best as we can. If we can't, we will make a note of it, and we will get back to you guys just so we don't leave you hanging. But before everybody jumps off, I want to thank you all for coming. I love doing this kind of stuff, and so it's really cool for me to be here and be educational and not salesy at all, because I love doing this stuff. It feeds into my professor brain. But thank you for the work that you guys do. Thank you for coming here and taking some time out of your day. And again, please feel free to reach out with questions. We're happy to help, anything like that. So we'll keep oh, we've got a question. I see a question from Carrie. That's a great question. So I'm just gonna read it just for everybody. How long are you advising towns to keep their original .com/.org domains for after moving over to the .gov? We don't want to lose any emails, especially if we've used them for years. That is an outstanding question. Regardless of whether you're going to have a .gov or if you were just coming to us and wanted to stay as a .com, we can keep that original domain going for as long as you want. To answer your question, I would say maybe no more than a year, because I think at some point you have to cut it off. But what we can do is, at least from the website perspective, we can point, like if somebody were to go in to say, I'll just pick where I worked at in Wisconsin. Let's say it was townofoakland.com, and now we're going to townofoakland.gov. We can automatically point so that if somebody were to type in townofoakland.com, it would automatically go to townofoakland.gov. So, but again, you'll have to pay for that domain registration, the original one. But I would say a year. I mean, domain registrations are typically somewhere in the neighborhood of like $5 to like $25. So I think for 1 year, it's not that big of a deal. But then after that, you probably should cut it off and just keep it as a .gov. And plus, it's an added expense. You can put that money towards something else. But that's a great question. I'm so glad that you asked that.
Yay. Good question, Harry. Thank you so much. Bring on the questions.
Yes, feel free to ask any other questions. We definitely have time.
Yes.
We're definitely, that's what we're here for. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen just so we're all a little bit bigger for everybody to see. There we go.
Yay.
I see her. Carrie is typing some more. I'm eager to see what she has to say.
Yes, absolutely. You're like,
Can't wait. That's just killing me. Here we go. If a town, though, uses a website company that does not host and have the ability to have DNS records, they will need to keep it longer. Example, DNS through GoDaddy/Squarespace. I'm going to choose my words carefully, but I'm also going to choose my words. If you're hosted through GoDaddy, I would stop. I would not be hosted through GoDaddy, and I'm not even saying that because I want you to be one of our customers. GoDaddy does not have the security. GoDaddy doesn't have necessarily the support that a municipal website host will have. GoDaddy is really geared towards private businesses. And really anybody can get a website through GoDaddy for any reason. And I just wouldn't go. I know they're cheap. I know they're cheap. But I wouldn't strongly suggest going with them. I would switch to, I don't want to say switch to us, but I would switch to us or Revise or I don't know any other ones that are like Gov Office. I mean, I would focus on website hosts that specialize in local government. And yes, we are one of those, but there's other ones out there, and I would suggest going with one of those as opposed to GoDaddy or Squarespace. They're good for what they are, but they're really not geared towards municipal websites. They're really not.
I also just want to add, Harry, that Chris pointed towards something that is quite valuable, and like you have loads going on. It's your job to run your municipality. So the reason why there's municipal software solutions like TownWeb or any of the other ones is because they are set up for look specifically. The websites and what they host is set up specifically for municipalities. The way that the ADA compliance work is set up for local municipalities because it's law, because it needs to be adhered to. The way that we offer emails or whatever you can think of is because it is set up for municipalities. So the one thing is yes, .gov website is all secure, but it also means if you go with a website provider that you get a ton of additional support that you don't need to figure out then. Exactly.
And I can tell you, having actually been a clerk, like I just want things to work and I don't have time to worry about it if they don't. Because I never did because I had a million other things to do. So it's really important. Nella's points are spot on. It's really important to work with a company. And again, we want it to be us, but really, like if you're doing what's best for your municipality, to work with a company that specializes in municipal government websites, and because that's why they're there. That's what they do. But again, another great question. I love that you asked that question. We definitely have time for a few more questions. I can certainly stay for like another 5 minutes if folks want to stick around and ask more questions. I've got another meeting in 25 minutes, but I've got plenty of time. So if you guys want to ask any more questions, we are happy to answer. We are happy that you guys are here. If you need to jump off, feel free to jump off. You've survived it. You've made it till the end. But let's see if anybody else has any more questions before we kind of jump off, and I'll have one more quick drink of iced tea.
Yes.
It's a really good iced tea.
That helps, yes.
It does. It does. Excuse me. My cold's getting better, I promise. My cold's getting better.
I'm very surprised. So it is winter where I am, and I've only been sick once this winter. It was so I'm quite okay. I'm quite happy with myself because normally I get sick about twice, and so I've only had flu once.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my goodness. I think we'll give one more minute for questions. I'm not seeing anybody typing anything yet, which again is totally fine. There's a lot of information that we threw at you guys. So just as a reminder, you will all be getting this recording. So if you want to hear me talk again, good on you. I certainly don't, because I hear myself talk enough. But lots of good information in here. You can certainly reach out if you have questions afterwards. We're happy to help. And again, I actually teach almost an entire class on like cyber. It is an entire class on like cyber and data security, and I devote a good third of it to .gov websites and that sort of thing. So you can certainly reach out to me and talk about other kind of basic cybersecurity stuff. I don't have a degree in IT, so I know what I know, but I would not consider myself an expert other than what I know in my little box. And I'm trying to expand that box a little bit more, but we're happy to help. Honestly, we're happy to help whatever we can do for you guys.
Yay, thank you so much, everybody. Just as a reminder, if you want to book a demo, I'm popping the demo link in the chat box. There's a bunch of freebies up for grabs. You want that? Between you and whoever is listening, between me and you guys.
But yes, thank you for joining us, everybody. I think we'll cut it off here. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. And I hope it's not too hot in New York. At least not as in Las Vegas.
And happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.